Hopefully you already took a stab at a little practice with navigation tags. Remember that what you want to do is create a menu in the header, a menu in the footer, and then practice with the different parameters. So I'm just going to show you briefly how I went about that with my theme, and yours may be a little bit different. It may be similar. That is fine. As long as it's working and it's what you intended, then you're right on track. So let's start off going into the header.php file and coming down to the navigation area, and we could see that I have it inside of nav right here, and I'm doing something very similar before. The theme location is main menu, and I'm assigning main menu to be there by default. And I've removed all the other parameters. I'm not really customizing too much, and that's what I have there. So that's pretty straightforward. The next thing we want to look at then is in the footer.php, and here I've done something a little bit different. Notice that there's no wrapper here, and instead I have worked with the container parameter, and I've made sure that it's going to go inside of a nav tag and then have the ID of footer menu. So that's how I will identify it. The theme location, notice it's footer menu, so we're going to have to set that up in our functions.php as well. And then I've played with just a little bit of the text just for styling and playing around purposes, putting this before or after the link. So it's outside the A tag. It's not going to be clickable, but it will be there for display. For depth, I've set it to 1, so this will not allow any child pages to appear. If we put 0, it doesn't matter. If we put 2, it'll show 2 levels. So it's only going to show the top level, and I'll show you that in action. And finally, the callback is false. So if I don't have a theme assigned here, I don't want just all titles or all links or all pages on my site to automatically show up in a menu there. So I'm setting that false. So we could see that between the header and footer, they are different. I've played around with some different parameters, so that meets that criteria. And next we need to look at our functions.php. So coming down to our register menu, let's see, we missed it. Register nav menus here. Notice that we have our main menu and then we have our footer menu. And I've literally just copied the code, and this will allow 2 menus to appear on our site. So if we come over to our site, we want to look in our customizer under menus, and we'll see under menu locations, we now have the main menu and we have the footer menu. And I've actually gone ahead and set up a new footer menu and then assigned it to the location of footer menu. So that will place it there. If I uncheck that, nothing appears there. It doesn't have a fallback or anything like that, and that is just what we expected, but we do want it to appear there. Also notice that if I were to try to make sample page a child page, so by moving it under blog, notice that it doesn't appear there. It's not hidden. There's nothing else there. So because of the depth parameter, that's not going to work. And of course, we also see these anchor tags before and after stuff, or not anchor tags, I'm sorry, greater than and less than symbols, that sort of thing, the arrows. So that is everything in action, pretty straightforward. And at this point, the last thing for you to practice was applying this to your own theme. So at this point, follow along with the code that I did. You may need to, yours may have gone a little bit differently. You may need to make changes, you may not, and you may have done it perfectly, but also make sure you follow this last step now of adding custom menus to your own theme and setting the parameters and customizing the classes just as you want. If you want to play around with Walker class, you're welcome to, and post up any questions you have along the way, but it is outside the scope, and in most cases, you're not really going to have to build one of those yourself. Most cases. Okay, so at this point, you should have practice done. You should be pretty comfortable playing around with navigation tags, and we're ready to move on to more template tags that you'll come across when building WordPress themes and plugins.